This week we're doing a technique session and we're going to break down this. Now I have shared this a few times on Instagram, and every time I have done, people have gone wild for it, but often they've asked for an explanation of exactly what it is and how we can use it. So we're going to do that today. So this table is the 24 possible combinations of the numbers 1, 2, 3 and 4. And for us guitarists, that refers to our fretting hand fingers 1, 2, 3 and 4. So from these combinations we can devise a whole host of different exercises that are great for our warm-up or our technique sessions. So just before we get started, there is a PDF available with my explanatory notes and tabs on my Patreon page, where for as little as $3 per month you can help support the channel and get exclusive content from both my Instagram feed and YouTube channel. So let's take a zoom in and break this down. So the first thing to be clear on before we jump into the exercise is the idea of playing within a position. Generally, a position is considered a 4-fret area of the fretboard, and it's numbered by where we place the index finger. The idea is that each finger is assigned a fret within that position. So something like a scale pattern. That's all done in the 5th position. The fretting hand didn't move. So with that said, we'll take our first combination, just a simple 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you're getting started with this, you want to start maybe higher up the neck where the frets are a little narrower, because the idea is that as we play through 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to keep the fingers pressing down, introducing a stretch in between the fingers. And down here in the open or first position, the frets are much wider, the stretch is bigger, and it might be a little more demanding. And the exercise for a 1, 2, 3, 4, you would play 1, 2, 3, 4 with fingers 1, 2, 3 and 4. And as you do this, you keep the fingers pressing down, not this. The idea is they stay pressing down, and that's going to encourage minimum movement, keeping the fingertips as close to the fretboard as possible. And how you continue the exercise is you just move down vertically across the strings, repeating that combination. 3, 4, 1, 2. Now for a beginner that can be enough in and of itself, but the idea is without each practice exercise, you start bringing the hand lower down until you come into the first position, and you can repeat that exercise. But down here, the stretch is much wider. The hand is sitting parallel to the neck and the fingers are close to the frets. It's particularly hard for the pinky finger to keep close. You play across the strings. And how you extend the exercise is then you move into the second position. So you slide up into position 2, and you can repeat that combination, but this time move up towards the ceiling. So ideally, I would suggest that you try and work this with a metronome and do the exercise with alternate picking. So as well as working on the dexterity of the fretting hand, you're working on the synchronization of both fretting hand and picking hand. Sorry, alternating that picking preferably. Down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up, down. And then should you wish, you can try and take that as fast as you possibly can. So that's working with the metronome. So how do we take it back to the combinations? Well, the idea is that you take that same approach, but you can choose just a different combination. So there are some of them which are particularly nasty. As I look at the chart, maybe something like a 3-1-4-2, for example. So that's just a different combination you can look to use, and each one has its different demands, and it's going to get your fingers working a different way. Now, how this chart becomes particularly interesting is when we start thinking about playing along a row or down a column. If we think about the columns, there are 4 of them, and each of them is the 6 different combinations when starting from each of the fingers. So column 1, all of those combinations start with finger number 1. So what we can do with that is as we change strings, we can move on to the next combination. So with every string, we're doing a different combination with a fricking hand. So what we can do is as we change strings, we then change combination. So if I were to play down the first column, it would look something like this, trying some 8th notes. Etc. So that works nicely. It's 6 combinations across 6 strings. So every time you change position, you just repeat the 6 again. What's also interesting is to go across the rows. Now what the rows does is the 4 combinations of the first column but played from the different finger. If we take a look at the top row, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. But then if I started that combination from the second finger, that would give us 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 4, 1. Or then I could do 3, 4, 1, 2. Or 4, 1, 2, 3. So 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So again, you could take those 4 combinations and play them across the strings. The thing to look out for though is that it's 4 combinations, 6 strings, so you're going to be looping back round to the first one as you hit upon the 5th string, right? That's right, the 5th string as you work down, not string 5. So the first row would look something like this. So it works on that basis, and the thing that gets confusing is then as you change position and change combination, you got to make sure you're on the correct finger in the correct fret. So a couple of ways you can get some value from these combinations. Just one other thing to consider is working them up 1 string. So you're just shifting up 1 position every time. So the 1, 2, 3, 4 sound string 1 would look like this. Etc. So you're working a position shift as you climb up the neck. When that gets interesting is doing the different combinations but doing the same thing. So if you work down, say, the first column, but each time you're changing a combination. I've not done that one before, so I got it wrong. You see, there's always something you can be working on. So the idea with this really is that it serves as a great warm-up to get the blood flowing and synchronizing the 2 hands. If you wanted to, then you could spend more time and set yourself perhaps a target BPM with a particular combination or a series of combinations. So there you are, guys. That's how you can use that chart. I hope you found that useful. If you did, don't forget a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you're new to the channel. As you do so, don't forget to ring that bell. So as I mentioned before, there's a PDF available to my supporters on Patreon. You can find a link to that in the description below. So down there, you will also see links to get your free copy of Fretboard Mastery. This is my ebook on learning the fretboard in just a few days. And also 25% discounts on both of my online courses, Guitar Root Busters, Essential Theory, and Triads Inside Out. So you can leave your questions or criticisms of this so you can share your love or hate for those exercises in the comments below. You guys have a great week. I'll see you next time.